today is we're going to do the section 2, writing the hello world with Python. What we're going to do is we're going to use coordinates to move the turtle to a specific location. We're going to draw the H with the pen up and pen down functions. We're going to use code to draw spaces. We're going to code to the ELLO, and we're going to add comments to the code to help explain what we're doing. Then, in the second part of this this lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to define functions, and we're going to call function inside of the other functions in order to finish out the hello world. So what do? We click the start button down here, then go to all programs. Then we come down to Python 3.2. Then we click idle. When the idle comes up, now notice this is the idle shell. We do not code in the idle shell, right? Where do we code? We click File, New Window. Now we're in the text editor and we're ready to code. So what we're going to do at the end, we'll have a project that looks like this, where we've written hello world. One thing we have to remember is our math class, where we drew, where we had our different coordinates. It's very much like this. 0, 0 is the middle, and if you want to go right, you go along the x-axis for horizontal movement. You go along the y-axis for vertical movement. And how is it expressed in math class? It is expressed between parentheses, the x-coordinate first with a comma, and then the y-coordinate. You'll be seeing what we're talking about. So here's some examples of different locations. Here's the turtle at 30. That 30 stands for going 30 points on the x-axis and down 20 on the y-axis. So they're down 20 and 30 across. See that? The circle is up 10. So I mean to the right 10 and up 30. The square is where? On the x, it's minus 40, and it's plus 20 on the y-axis. So you just got to visualize this. And where's the triangle at? It's minus 20 on the x, and it's down 30. So if you can keep that visualization when you're drawing your letters, it'll really help you. So think, if I want to put a spot that's minus 20, 70, what do I do? X, I go minus 20 and I go up 70. Now in this lesson, we don't start the turtle at the 0, 0. We start the turtle at 30 minus 50. The right 30 and down 50 pixels. How do we send the turtle there? We have a go to command. So we're going to have the turtle go to 30 minus 50. Okay, there's a couple other commands we're going to use here. We're going to use the Pinup command. Pinup means make that line invisible. So we're going to go from 0, 0 to the minus 30, 50. So we don't want to draw a line there. We just want to take the cursor there, take the turtle there. So we need to put the Pinup command so that line is not visible. If we want to make the line visible, we have to put the pen down command. Think as if the turtle is dragging a paintbrush. So now I got my text editor window open. What do I write? From turtle import, obviously. Don't forget your star and click enter. And click enter another time. Now we're going to do what? We got to put the pen up. We're going to make this invisible because we're going to go to where we need to be. Pen up. That's a command within the turtle. Okay. So now we're going to go to that location we talked about before. And now we can start drawing, so we're going to put the pen down. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to save. So I'm going to go File, Save As. And I'm going to go up to my libraries, and I'm going to go find my class folder. And I'm going to call this Hello. So now I can run it, see what's going on. Run module. That arrow goes where I want it to go. So now you can see how this H is going to look. Okay, basically this is 3 lines, 2 vertical, 1 horizontal, and it's 100 pixels tall and 50 pixels wide. So how do we do this? We enter a couple times. Now our arrow is pointing right, so we want it to go left. And we want it to turn up 90 degrees. So we just type in left, 90. So that turns it up 90 degrees. All it does is it takes the arrow and points it up. Next we're going to type forward 100. This step moves the turtle up 100 pixels to draw the left side of the H. Now it looks like this. Next we're going to bring that down 50 pixels. So I just type in forward minus 50. Now it looks like this. We've just come down 50 pixels. You turn the turtle right 50 pixels to draw the bar. So next I'm going to type in to right. Now that I've got it pointing right, I want it to go right 50 pixels to draw that middle bar. So I type forward 50, and this is what that movement looks like. Now I want it to turn up left 90 degrees. So I type in left 90. So now you can see what that does is it just takes the arrow and points it up. So next I just type forward 50 because I want it to draw that line up. So now I've got the upper part of this line drawn for the H. So now I want it to draw a line backwards all the way down. So I type forward minus 100. So it looks like this in my code. So now you can see my H is finished, but I want it to be pointing right so that I can draw the next number. So I just put in right 90 degrees. So before you go any further, make sure your code matches this. If it does, save it, File, Save. Then go click the Run option, and then click Run Module. And it should draw you an H. It's always a good idea to comment your code so you know what you're doing. And it's no different with Python here. So I'm going to click Enter. And I'm going to put the pound sign, or some of you guys like to call it a hashtag. It's always been a pound sign, okay? So I'm going to pick up turtle and move it to its position, starting position. and I'll save it. Now I'm going to tell them that this next command draws the left leg of the H. Now these commands are to help me, or anybody else who's looking at this code and saying, what the heck is she trying to do? So I'm going to draw the left leg of the H. Now, usually you don't go into such detail, but when you're beginning, you might. Maybe we want to remind ourselves that the turtle starts at the bottom left of the H. Okay. So there you go. I just put that comment in that the turtle starts at the bottom left of the letter pointing right. Now I'm going to indicate where you draw the bar of the H. Maybe I also want to tell myself that the turtle starts at the top of the left leg and it's pointing up. Now I want to show where I draw the right leg of the H. And perhaps I want to tell myself here also that the turtle starts out on the right side of the bar, pointing right. Now I want to make sure that my code still writes that H, so I'm going to click Run. Then I click Run Module, after I've saved it, of course. And yes, everything still works, so I didn't make any mistakes. If you made any mistakes, make sure that your pound sign is in front of your little comments. Okay, if it isn't done that way, then it won't work. So now I'm going to put a comment in here. The H is drawn, and the turtle is at the bottom, pointing right. Now, one thing you'll notice that when I was doing this before, you couldn't see any color coding. What was the problem there? You see up here where it says hello.py? If you don't save it as a .py, you will not see your color coding. So make sure that when you save your files, you put in the .py because your editor will not automatically supply it. I know it's easy to forget, but one of the key clues is that you're not seeing the color. Now I'm going to tell myself that I'm going to add a space. So I'm going to put an extra enter here. I'm going to put a pound, add a space 30 pixels wide. So now all I have to do is type in my Pinup command. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to draw a line, right? Now I'm going to go forward 30. Now I'm going to put the pen down because I'm ready to draw again. So make sure that your code matches my code. Then we'll run this module. And your drawing should come up here. It should look like this. So now we're going to draw the E, and it wants to be the same shape as the H. Horizontal lines are shorter than the vertical lines. So now I'm going to start the code to draw the E. I'm going to draw the left side. So I just put in a comment that I'm drawing an E. I turned it left 90 degrees, the cursor. Then I went forward 100. Now that we've drawn the left side of the E, what we're going to do is we're going to draw the top bar. I want it to look like this. So what do? So this code that I've just drawn is drawing your top line. So what does this step do that I just typed up? It turned the cursor. It drew the middle bar of the E. Then it moved the turtle back to the middle of the left side of the E. So that should leave your drawing looking like this. So now I add the next 4 lines of code for my bottom bar. I turn the cursor right 90 degrees. I go forward 50. Then I turn my cursor left 90 degrees and I go forward 50. Now we run the program to make sure it works. First we save it. And then we run it. And that's what it should look like. Now what I want to do is I want to reuse the space code. So instead of typing this all out again, I can copy it. I just highlight this. I go to my edit menu. I click copy. Come down here, give me a couple spaces. Then I go back to my edit menu and I click paste. So there I've got my space. Now we're going to deal with the L. The L's a lot easier than the E because it's just 2 lines. And really you can see it's similar to drawing the E. Only thing is you aren't drawing 2 of the horizontal lines. Now I tell the program I'm going to draw an L. Now of course I want to turn the cursor up. So I've turned it left 90 degrees. Now I need to draw a 100 pixel line. Now I need to come on back. Well, I need to turn the cursor 90 degrees to come back. Now my cursor's facing the right way to draw that last line. And now it goes forward 50 pixels. That should draw my L. So now I want to make sure my program works. I go File, Save, and run it. All I need to do is copy this space and copy this L. Next we're going to do is we're going to draw that O. We're going to make it a rectangle. So now we're going to draw the O. First we're going to make it go forward 50. Now we're going to make it turn left 90 degrees. Now we're going to draw a line 100 pixels up. Now we're going to turn the cursor so it's facing left. Now we're going to draw that horizontal line 50 pixels. Now we're going to turn that cursor facing down. Now we're going to draw that final line. Actually, we're not done yet. We're going to turn the cursor so it's facing forward again, and we're going to bring that cursor back to the edge of the letter. So we're going to turn it left 90 degrees and we're bring it forward 50. Now we're going to run the program to make sure the O works. We forgot a space, didn't we? We can fix that. All we have to do is drag over this. Click the edit button, click copy. Then here, click enter, and click edit, and click paste. Then click enter here. Save it. And now it should work. I click run, run module. And that's what it should look like. What we've done so far is we've used something called functions. Functions that we've used so far are predefined. So it's basically code that's defined, and we're going to be making our own functions. So here we have a function, and here we have what's called the argument of the function. An argument is an optional or required step that a function needs in order to operate. In order to, once we've defined a function, then we're allowed to call it. And that's how it works. There's a lot of reasons you would add functions to your code. You have less code to read through. There's less stuff that you have to duplicate. It can make a complicated program simpler. And usually there's less codes to fix if you do make a mistake. You can always import programs into other programs. You always import functions into other programs. So now I'm going to save this file as hello.byfunctions.py. So I'm going to go File, Save as. And I'm going to go inside my desktop, inside my folder 2. And I'm going to go hello by function. So I'm just going to add by function. So remember, you have to have the .py. It doesn't automatically add that. So what you need to do to define a function is you need to set up in such a fashion. So here you have DEF for define, the name of the function you're going to make, and here you see they have an underline in here. You can't have blank spaces in a name. And of course your 2 parentheses and the colon. Now you notice that everything under here is all indented. That tells you that all belongs to this function. Alright, so you can't have any blank lines right after the word define turtle, or it thinks you've stopped. Okay? So what I did was just like I did with the draw new line, I defined a draw H function. And I took all the code that we built to do the draw H, and all I did was I went format indent region, and that indented it all to the right. So now to run these, I've got them defined. Now all I have to do is call them to run them. And so it looks like this. I go File, Save. Now I can run my function, see if I did it right. You want to run these often in case you do make a mistake, so that you can tell, if something's not working. So, it goes like it should. So the next thing I want to do is I want to turn this into a function. I want to make my space into a function. So what I do, I wrote define, I put draw underscore space with a colon. So now all I have to do is highlight my what draws the space. Once again, format, and indent the region. So now I'm going to define a function for drawing the E. So I wrote it out once again. I just come on down to my last command. I format and I indent the region. Now another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the draw space function to my draw E function. This way I'm not going to have to have a special draw E function afterwards. So what do? I just click Tab, and then I write draw space. And so now I don't need the space command afterwards. I can delete that out. Just drag over it and delete it. So there, I've dragged over it, and I just click the delete button, and it's gone. So now I'm going to define the L function, drawing an L. Once again, I just define it, draw L function. Now I just push it over, highlight everything, click format, indent region. Then I take this, then I add the space command after this. Let's come to the end, and I go draw space. Now I can delete this extra space command here. Now I'm going to delete this other L in this other space. And I'm going to make a draw an O command. So once again, just like before, all I have to do is highlight all of these and push them over. Okay. So now what I want is all my definitions up top, and then I'm going to call them after I do all my definitions. So I'm going to take the draw space function, and I'm going to add it to the rest of my letters, and I'm going to put the draw space function at the very top. I'm going to add it to this function. Make sure you spell it right. I go all the way up to the top. I want to add this draw space function to the draw H, right? So I click enter and I add it. Now I'm going to take my draw space function and I'm going to put it above it because it can't run until it's been defined, correct? So how do I do this? I go edit, cut, because I don't want it there, I want it up top. So after this new line up there, I'm going to click enter and I'm going to edit paste. And I'm going to put a space in there. There you go. Now I'm going to take these draw new line and draw H and put them at the bottom. Click cut. Okay, get rid of some of these empty lines here. Come all the way to the bottom. And now I'm done with all my definitions, so now all I have to do is call my functions. So now I've got draw new line, draw H. So what do? I'm going to draw E, draw L, draw another L, then draw my O. So let's see what this looks like. I'll save it and I'll run it. Okay, now I'm ready for the rest of the project. We're done with all the lessons in the module, so now we're going to go to assignment 1A. So here we see we have a command. We're going to start writing world. So we've got hello. So then we're going to define a new function called draw new line. And then we're going to take that to the coordinate minus 200 and the coordinate minus 50. I'll show you what that looks like. Here you go. You just write it out. So we're picking the pen up. This is invisible, and we take it from the end of this line down to minus 200 minus 50. So this is going to go below the line we just did. Now the next thing it tells us that we want to define the function called draw W. And it tells us that the lines are each 100 pixels high and that each of the two bars at the bottom are 25 pixels wide. It tells us that drawing a W is like doing a sideways E. So what does that look like? So you just follow their directions. Make sure that you turn left at a 90-degree angle, so you're going up, right? So then you go forward 100. Then of course you have to come back down again and turn it right. So you're going back in the original direction, and then you go forward 25 for a small bottom line. Then you go up again, right? So you turn left 90 degrees again, so you're going to make the second upward vertical for the W. And you go up 100, back 100. Then you got to turn around again, going back in the original direction. Go forward 25 pixels to get your second horizontal line. Then you do your last vertical. You go left, that has you facing up. And then you go up, forward 100. Then you go back, forward minus 100. Then you turn right again, so you're facing in the right direction. So your next letter is going to look right, and then you just draw a space. So I'm going to add a draw W at the end. See, all my draws are at the bottom here. You define first, have draw a W here. See what this looks like. See if we did it right. I'll save it. Then we'll run it. I'll see, it didn't go down like it should. You know what? I didn't run that line, did I? So let's fix that. Between the O and the W, I should have what? New line. Save it. And run it. So I know that after W comes an O, so I'll just put in here draw O, since I already have an O. And so the next thing I gotta do is figure out, according to the directions, how to do an R. So here it tells you about how to define a function called R. So it tells you that it's 100 pixels high, a bar section across the middle that is 50 pixels wide, and a bar across the top that's 50 pixels wide. It tells you that it's like drawing an H but with a horizontal bar added across the top. So you can go back to your H code and see how that's done if you get confused. So here we go. So we've done an R. So we turned the cursor up 90 degrees and we went 100 degrees up. Then we turned right 90 degrees and we went forward 50. Then we turned 90 degrees in a down arrow and we went down 50. And then we went right 90 degrees. So we're turning back towards the left. We want to do the center bar across, right? So then we go forward 50, then we come back. Then we turn our cursor around again, so it's facing down. See, the 90 is facing down. Then we go forward 50. We turn it 90 degrees left, so it's facing the right direction, and we draw a space. So let me add the R to the bottom. Save it. And run it. That kind of looks like an A, doesn't it? But that's how they want you to make your R. So now we're almost done. All I have to do after the R is I've got an L, don't I? So now I just draw an L. And so since an O and a D would look the same, all I do is draw an O. So the only thing I'd have left on this project would be to add exit on click. So I just type in exit on click. And I save it. Now I can run it, see what this looks like. And you're done.